If you've been enjoying our podcast as much as we have and hope that we continue past 50 episodes, here's your chance. Here's your chance to help make that happen. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, not only will you help the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary podcast to live on, but you'll also get exclusive content just for you.
Here's what's in store for you. Join monthly Q&A sessions where you can ask us about anything. Whether it's about our work, personal interests, or advice on your own projects, we're here to connect and share.
Enjoy unique content created specifically for Patreon subscribers, including bonus segments from our shows.
You'll have a say in what we create, and you'll have a voice in future content.
Benefit from exclusive discounts on merchandise and entries into special giveaways. It's our way of saying thank you for your support.
Receive personalized shout-outs in videos, podcasts, or social media posts.
Because your support on Patreon allows us to dedicate more resources to creating the content that you love.
You could join the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast community on Patreon and become a Prairie patron for just $5 a month. We thank you so much for your continued support, and we cannot wait to share our ongoing journey with you on Patreon.
We are extremely grateful for the support of VisitSimiValley.com and the city of Simi Valley's belief in Little House on the Prairie and their support of the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Discover the charm of Simi Valley, California, the home of the prairie. Visit Simi Valley, where adventure meets history and the spirit of the prairie comes alive. Explore the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, step aboard Air Force One, enjoy stunning hikes and savor delicious local cuisine. Whether you're here for a weekend getaway or a family vacation, Simi Valley offers something for everyone and is only 30 minutes from Los Angeles. Plan your visit today and experience the best of Simi Valley. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more details. Your adventure awaits in Simi Valley.
Well, hello again. Hello, bonnet heads. How are you? It's been a week. I'm Pamela Bob. I'm your host, creator of Living on a Prairie, and I am here, as always, with our one and only prairie bitch, or biatch, as I kind of want to say biatch now because I do feel bad saying bitch, but she's here, Alison Hartcrumb. We do love you.
It doesn't bother me, obviously.
I know it bothers me. It bothers me because I love you. And also we are here with our hashtag imaginary boyfriend, Dean Butler. I don't feel bad about saying that to you, Dean.
Okay, thank you.
I'll say that.
Well, hi, everybody. So, Alison, I understand you have you've had quite a journey today to get. We should make sure everyone understands that you are coming to us again from the other side of the world.
France.
So, what did you do to be ready today?
If you don't want to say bitch, you can say garce. They call me garce. So I'm in Paris right now at a friend's who has
this is that funny house. Oh my gosh, so
Spider-Man and the Bird. Yeah,
the Bruno funny house.
I was doing a show out in near Germanville, and so today I was driven to the train in Houdan and with my luggage, and I took the train in to Montparnasse, which is bottom end of Paris and the top end of Paris. So I took the number 13 because it was starting to rain and taxis were going to be a zoo. So I held it and actually did the escalators and the subway with all my luggage. Made
and you
it.
Don't
I
travel
only had
lightly either. So that's
no, and I mean I sold a lot of photos, so I'd unloaded a lot of stuff, so it wasn't as bad as it could be.
And at least it's not the dead of summer where it's 90 degrees outside. Yeah,
freezing actually, which also made it hard. But I had like one big case, one small space, and backpack, so I'd like figured it out, and I only had to roll them like 4 blocks, and yeah, it was fine. But then I get in and was greeted with the neighbor has a pet mouse, and it apparently has gotten out, and no one knows where it is, but we think it's in this apartment.
Oh, wow.
Now,
it's a pet. I didn't hear pet
I didn't
mouse
realize it.
before.
Yeah, at least it's domesticated.
like a
Poor
wild rat
thing.
or something. And it's totally somewhere in this apartment. But
You hear the little.
I already heard
Yeah.
like scratchy behind the furniture.
Oh.
But now I'm not scared of mice. That was the first time I said. He said, "Are you
Right.
afraid of mice?" I'm like, "No, I'm not afraid of mice. I'm not afraid of
No.
rats. I'm not afraid of snakes. I don't care. Tigers, alligators. Well, I just
Ugh.
I love all the little animals. So I'll probably try to keep it or something. I'll have to get it away from me.
I know it might be really cute.
It's apparently adorable, but
I'm
it's
okay with
loose.
mice.
It's loose.
Rats, not so much. You know what I really can't do? Possums. Possums freak me out like you would never. And there are all these videos of like people opening their cabinets in their kitchen, and there's a freaking possum. It's awful. I've seen them in real life. I've seen them in my backyard. They are horrible, creepy creatures. Sorry, possum lovers out there, but
move
that's my
sort
stance.
of slowly. I mean,
They look
they are
mean.
They are not one of nature's most aesthetic creatures, but I think they're pretty benign.
I had one as a pet. I kept it in a hotel room in Florida while making the movie. I know. We found it in the woods. It was wild, and we had it loose. It got loose in the hotel. But yeah, when they're frightened or mad, they go.
Yeah, they do that. It's terrifying. It's terrifying.
That's their defense. And then if that doesn't work, then they just play dead. They just.
Well,
like,
they also can
drop
bite.
down.
They can bite.
Oh,
Mine
sure.
did not bite anybody. It was a good, sweet little thing. But if they bite, apparently it's really bad, and they could like lock their jaws.
All right. Well, let's not have. So, Alison,
Nightmares. Okay, there.
while you were doing shows over the weekend and now traveling today, now because we drop our shows later than they actually are recorded, but in this time zone in this time frame, we announced the formation of Prairie Legacy Productions.
Yes, please tell me all about it. I know
which
nothing.
Alison and I are the co-managers of.
Tell me everything.
So, this is we formed Prairie Legacy Productions, Alison and I, and then Jennifer Brawyer, who has been wonderful with influencing in my social media and a devoted Little House fan, and Mike Davidson, who has been so present for the Little House cast during the last several years. And he's just been in a lot of different places. He has 17 years of connection to Little House. We formed this entity to do events principally. I mean, that's what we're going to talk about in the present, is doing events. And it really is a response, and Alison can confirm this or amplify it. It's really a response to what happened last September in Connecticut and Pennsylvania.
It was bonkers. We, as everyone knows who was there and who saw the pictures and who's seen the stories on Facebook, things went a little bit, fire festival, and not our fault. And as soon as we realized that it was an untenable situation, that it was not going to improve, we ran like the wind and said, no, sorry, we're parting ways with this whole operation because it's just not right. But somebody was going to get hurt. I didn't like it at all with treating the fans and the whole thing. So we got out, and then we said, well, what? We need to do more events. And people were constantly on Facebook and in my email and in my face going, please tell me that you guys are going to have more events with the cast. We understand that whole operation crashed and burned and went out, but surely you guys could do something. And ta-da, we have
and
formed
it's so
an
funny
entity so that
because
we may do this.
I saw this announcement. I was like, wait. They should have been doing this all along. Like it's funny how it took this horrible thing to happen to go, oh, wait a minute, we can actually control this and we can do it ourselves
without these silver linings.
Yeah.
And we went through, and one of the reasons it's taken so long is because there has to be, in a relationship like this with the rights holder, Friendly Family Productions, has to be papered correctly. And so there was a lot of, in the last several weeks, a lot of back and forth on what the nature of the agreement, the fine print of the agreement's going to say. And we all signed it last Friday, which is why
there's a lot of paper. It's a lot of paper when you do this. If those of you who have not created an entity, a company, and we have like things in France, people create a thing, Alison and then Votre Village, an association, so they can bring my show in here. It's a whole thing, and I have loose gravel, but boy, there's a lot of paper involved and a lot of filling things out and checking boxes and going back and forth about it. And I was signing it in the dressing room before the show, literally.
Yeah,
it was
very
like
good.
that crazy. So
Very good. Yeah, we sent it around finally as we started off asking for real signatures, and then we moved to a DocuSign approach, which we were all able to sign in about 5 seconds.
Who does real signatures anymore?
Yeah,
exactly.
So
but it's going to be fab.
Yeah, I think it is going to be fab. And
so when are we going to hear about events?
Very soon. The first event is going to be announced very, very soon. It is deep in the planning, and we will be announcing it officially once we have the language of the announcement locked up. So, but it's coming. So with that in mind, let's move on to today, Pamela.
Okay.
And, yeah.
All right. Well, today we're talking about the themes of compassion and understanding, which are mostly the themes of all of Little House on the Prairie. But in particular today, we have a really touching season 1 episode. We've been doing a lot of season 1, but they're goodies. And it's just us today. So from the studios of UBN Go in Burbank, California, me in New York City, this is the Little House 50th Anniversary Podcast. Season 2 recap. Okay, Dean, what episode are we talking about today?
Okay, so today we are talking about episode 9 from season 1, School Mom.
Yeah.
Which premiered on Wednesday, November 13th, 1974. I mean, so this is like,
early days.
Yeah, this is really early. It's 2 months. It's 2 months into the show's run that this show premieres.
That's
this
insane.
This episode was written by writer-producer Ward Hawkins, who was one of Michael's writing producing mentors during the Bonanza years, and it was directed by one of Bonanza's and Little House's most stable and staple directors throughout the run, William F. Claxton. So a really nice team on this one. And Alison, what's the synopsis?
We have my favorite part of the show. Here we go.
You like when I read the synopsis
I do.
here.
I love it.
So we have synopsis here because this one is like way cool here. Because you get Dan Blocker's son. So it's like, oh my God. This is so early on. I think it's still my real hair. I was looking at it.
It was.
Oh my God.
I actually, in my notes, I wrote, this is real Alison here.
I'm a baby. So this is way early. So this is season 1, episode School Mom. Caroline Ingalls steps into an unexpected role as the substitute teacher in Walnut Grove. Caroline struggles with feelings of inadequacy, particularly, under the critical eye of the town's resident busybody, Harriet Olson.
Who knew?
A significant subplot is I think it's the subplot. I think it's the whole plot. Miss Beadle falls off a horse. Caroline takes over. But it's Abel, poor Abel, who is embarrassed about his complete inability to read. Caroline's compassionate and patient approach helps Abel to make strides in his education, demonstrating the powerful impact a caring teacher can have on a student's life. School Mom is a classic example of the Little House on the Prairie's ability to intertwine historical storytelling with a timeless life lesson, making it a memorable and heartfelt episode in the series. It is. It's all about illiteracy and bullying, and oh my God, it's great. It's great. It's great.
I think it's really well, and it's early on, obviously, but I think it's just a spectacular performance for Karen.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's wonderful in it. I think everyone's wonderful in it. This is what's cool about this period of time in the series' life is that Michael is establishing everybody. And, the major players in the family and the voices of people and so on. And this was a wonderful opportunity for Karen. She's luminous in this. I mean, she's just, when Karen walks into a room on the first day as the school teacher, she's just absolutely gorgeous. There is this Earth Mother quality about her that is so wonderful. And
Well, what was her hippie name? Something Tree?
Tree. Gabriel.
Gabriel Tree.
Gabriel Tree.
She walked into that. Her school teacher persona is Gabriel Tree, baby.
She's awesome. But see, this is awesome because this is a moment where, first of all, you find Caroline Ingalls taught school, and they mentioned vaguely, like in the pilots of, well, I used to teach. This is where she goes, hello, I used to actually teach for a long time. I'm back. And the kids are giving a great, you're not the teacher. She goes, yes,
they're doing it because Nellie and Lily are filling their brains with bullshit. Yes, sorry, I cursed.
She's not really a teacher. She has that resume. Like a bunch of 12-year-olds are worried about her resume. Really?
Yeah.
But I'm like, she's not really a teacher. She's not really a teacher. She has a license. She's not a teacher. She's never. And so she's like, of course I'm a teacher. It's insane. Of course I'm a teacher. And this is where Caroline lays on and she's tough. She's like, no, we're not having this. We're not. And she gets to say, no, there's going to be limits. So you can't do this to people. And it's
although they kept saying, I taught a long time ago, things have changed. What do you think changed?
Well,
what do you think?
The 12-year-old kid says things have changed. What does the kid know about what things have changed?
Ain't no internet yet. No typewriters. It's still the Dewey Decimal System, right? If that even was invented by then. Yeah.
Well, I think what
they're still using my
when she talks about the fact that she dials this down with everybody deserves a chance.
Yes.
And then we get into the young man who she asks him what he does well, and he hits a baseball well, and so they go outside and Caroline, whacks the ball out of the yard.
Epic. God, it feels good when she hits that ball. Doesn't it? Didn't you get a rush?
That feels good, doesn't it? I mean, I just love the way she handled that. Now, interestingly, in the time, but she says to her daughters, "Don't tell your father that I hit the ball.
I know
out of the yard." Now he learns about it anyway and loves it, but that she has to express a concern that he would know that she hit a baseball.
And even 1874, I mean, it's super not ladylike, not what a mom and a teacher is supposed to be out whacking, playing two a cat of baseball, or whatever the heck they were calling it that week. It was supposed to be gasp. She was in the books, she's upset that Laura plays ball.
Yeah,
but in this, she's laying down the law, yes, I can play baseball. I can do whatever I need to do this.
Well, and I think what she's saying is that everyone can do what they need to do. I think that's what sort of sets all this in motion, is that she is able to step forward against perhaps some resistance, and what's going to follow as Alison described, really the major plot point of this episode is the awakening of the academic potential of the full-grown Abel, wonderfully played by Dan Blocker's son, Dirk.
Now, Abel is clearly 42 years old. I know.
How old, Alison? How old do you think he was?
He looks at 37. He's in fact actually only 17.
No way.
Yes, he was 17 years old when he did this. His dad, Dan Blocker, but he that's how. Well, you've seen him today. Dirk Blocker is working today. He has a fine career. That's what he looks like, and he looked like a grown ass man. He was 17.
Well, he had his father's hair too. I mean, that hair look was so his father. Really interesting.
When you first see him, you're like, whoa, what is this full-grown man doing in this classroom? And then as the episode, he's so lovely and kind, and he's so good in this episode. You just believe it. And then as the episode goes on, you're like, okay, he's probably 17, 18, maybe 19. Maybe we'll stretch it up to 19.
Yeah.
But I will say it is jarring when you first see him. I was like, that man is 45 years old.
No, it's the land of the giants. I mean,
He's huge.
yeah.
And it's the hair, like the thinning hair. I mean, the guy is, he's the opposite of Laura Ingalls puberty trajectory-wise. Yes, let's put it this way.
Where she stays a baby to like 18. But that's the thing. He looks exactly like his dad, Dan Blocker. And that was the whole thing. And that's kind of, it's almost part of the plot. You're like living it as you're watching even the show. Michael's best friend. He loved Dan Blocker.
Yes, he loved Dan Blocker.
Well, and thank God he was as good of an actor in this episode, because otherwise you really wouldn't have bought it. You just wouldn't have. You would have thought, what is this full-grown man doing in this classroom? But it worked. It totally worked. It's just the shock of first seeing him is like, whoa, woof.
When Dan had died not that long before this.
Well, it was like 2 years. I want to say 2, 3.
So Michael had stepped in and said, here is this boy, a teenage boy, who has just lost his father, who was one of Michael's best friends, who he absolutely loved. And he gives this teenage boy this huge freaking part, this role, so he can follow in his dad's footsteps and kick him off. And the crew all know. And see, I was 12, but it was palpable. You knew what was going on. It was Michael's friend's kid that he loved. Yeah. And this was his huge opportunity. And the crew all knew him, because remember, the crew was all from Bonanza.
Of course, right.
So they were all like, oh my God, he's his dad. He's just like his dad.
It's
Look at him.
And
they
loved
him like
5 years older
beautiful.
than you.
They loved him. When he looks just like his dad, he acts like his dad. And the support and the feeling of, let's give this kid a leg up here, a chance, something. And they did. And it was lovely. It was lovely.
Well, you just feel, and the way that Karen interacts with young Dirk. I mean, she obviously didn't know him before, but there's a wonderful connection that she establishes with him right away. That's very touching and warm. And I think, she comes home from that. Well, I guess I'm trying to think if it's the first day or the second. Here, I have I have my notes on the episode here,
You write them down. Mine's just on my computer. I write everything down.
Well, I'm just useless remembering it. Even with it written down, I can't remember. But there's a nice connection that's established there. And the children initially are, the teasing about that he can't read, and he of course is embarrassed by that, and Caroline's lovely with it, and realize she has an opportunity. Yeah.
I just need to say, in this town full of warm, lovely people, those kids are raging assholes. Like they're so awful. And this is not the first time. It is a common theme. We see these school children being total a-holes. Like really horrible. What's going on with the children of Walnut Grove? I mean, I know kids are a-holes, right?
Kids
like they are.
Children are always horrible to each other.
So horrible.
Children are historically, I mean, look, Alison, I don't know what you experienced. Pamela, I don't know what you.
I certainly bullied.
I certainly experienced in school kids that were
horrible,
not great, because kids are testing you.
Yeah, everything's a trial
all the time.
It's a trial. It's a hating. Yeah, well,
every single one of them. Okay. Come on, Walnut Grove.
You expect it from me that I'm going to be dumb, Abel. He's really stupid, Yeah, of course I'm. But. Yes. Kids will it's just like wild animals.
Yeah,
they will. It's just Lord of the Flies. They will go for someone perceived as weak or different, and it's an age thing. There's like a peak at 9. Like everybody's pretty nice in first and second grade, and then third grade everybody's just really terrible. And then
grade, they're monsters.
Chilled out. Sixth grade, everybody's nice, and then somewhere in junior high, all of a sudden the knives were out again.
Yeah, horrible.
And what is going on with you people?
I couldn't believe. I was like, these kids are awful. I hate every single one of them. They're terrible children. Step up, Walnut Grove.
Well,
Step it up.
okay, so what about...
Mama freak out.
Before we move too deeply into the episode, I want to jump back to the very beginning. It really connects to the awfulness of the children, or the mischievousness of the children. The young boy who comes out with the snake.
With the snake.
And that, and the girls are running and screaming, and then the horse shies
Takes
and
off.
gallops away. That moment, Charlotte has talked about that moment many, many times. And when we saw the shot of her, or actually the double,
it looks
coming
just like her
off the way, the double looks incredible. I never would have thought that was not Charlotte.
I thought I actually put in my notes, like, holy hell, Charlotte did that stunt. Yes. Because you see her face. It looks like Charlotte.
I don't think it is Charlotte.
It's a dude. No, it's a dude at that. Miles. Somebody. Yeah. It's a guy doing most of the stunt work. Again, the editing. Really? Hey, like you all saw me get hit in the face with a tree branch. Yeah, not. Right. They did one of those like insane editing jobs where they kept as much of Charlotte as possible. Like, how long can we keep you in this where we don't kill you, a horse, and then edited the bejesus out of it. And the next thing she's on the ground. And
the coming off the wagon,
it's a straight shot.
That's one shot.
Yeah.
That's one shot. There's no cut on the ground. I mean, they did it. I mean, she never looked up at the camera. She didn't do that. But the profile was really good. And just the whole physicality was excellent. Are you sure this was a guy in a dress doing this?
I'm IMDb in it, and there's been several articles. There was like the Walnut Groovy people going, "What the heck is that a stuntman?" Everyone has gone, seriously, is that a stuntman? What is happening in this episode? And seriously, it's like
really well done.
Trivia. They have Dan Blocker. Yeah. Dirk Blocker. Right.
Can we, while you're IMDbing this, can we just talk about when we see Miss Beadle at home when Mama's having tea with her, and she has her hair down in a braid, which is the thickest braid I've ever seen in my entire life. It's a braid this wide. It's huge.
So that's something that, as a woman, you notice that. I just said that's pretty Miss Beadle there.
It's the first time we see her with her hair down, even though it's a braid, but it's her hair down. And then she's also in a lovely, lovely home, sipping on nice china. Where does Miss Beadle live? Do we know where she lives?
I think she lives upstairs in the above the post office. I think that's where she theoretically lives.
Because her home was very lovely. It was not a cabin in the woods somewhere.
Right,
it was a lovely home, fine china, and the thickest hair I've ever seen in my entire life. Actually, with the braid down, I was like, this is so... I know it was 1974, but I was like, this is so 1980s, this hairstyle, with the party in the front and the...
Well, Charlotte is just flat out one of those really beautiful...
Gorgeous. Oh my God.
She's gorgeous in such an accessible kind of way.
Yeah.
She's absolutely beautiful, very sexy woman. I mean,
she is.
If Charlotte's watching this, I mean, I think Charlotte's a very sexy woman in her 80s.
She is.
I just
She's
think
still got
there's
it,
something
man.
about her that's very, just so alive and so present all the time. And I can just imagine, I mean, Charlotte, well, we know if you've read Charlotte's book, Charlotte had quite the life out there, but she's just so lovely and personable, and there's such warmth that comes off of Charlotte.
Yeah, and no
I love
ego.
that conversation
the
that they had when they talk about, is able backward.
Yes.
And that's not a term that I've ever heard before.
That was what they did.
Yeah. So are we suggesting that backward would suggest some sort of mental incapacity?
Developmental, what we would say now, developmentally delayed or intellectually challenged, which is backwards. The big one too, that was considered the nice word. The questionable word then was slow.
Yeah.
That's like in the books, there's a thing, and it's in the musical where Laura, to insult Nellie at one point, I heard she's slow. And everybody goes, because that was the curse.
Nellie may be many things. Slow isn't one of them. No. There's nothing slow about Nellie.
Okay. According to Walnut Groovy,
Yes,
where
hit
they
us.
went on for about 17 paragraphs going, it's her, it's Charlotte, it's Charlotte. I mean, look at her. And clearly she did one of those like fall off the wagon onto a mattress thing. So you see her screaming and fall. I mean, clearly they did a bunch of that. However, update, I have learned that the amazing stunt woman who resembles Miss Beatles was actually Bob Miles. A stuntman, veteran of Bonanza, who did stunt work for Halloween 4 Little House. And they have his picture and they're going, and as you can see, he does not look anything at all like Howard
What does he
Stewart.
look like?
But they just said, well done. The editing process was such, and they used her. I'm sure they had like something where she had to fall over,
No,
plummet
the
onto a
final
mattress
shot
and
is a
intercut.
There's
the
no
final
cut of
shot.
her
There's
coming
no
off the
cut.
wagon.
It's the dive off the wagon, and then you see her face, and it looks like Charlotte.
Well, you see the profile. You don't really. She doesn't look full up at the camera, but yeah, you'd swear
It's really sneaky. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I watch when I run into that tree branch in Bunny, and I go, how? That really looks like I just rode straight to a tree branch in my face, and I did not. So.
He must have been so slight. His frame must have been so skinny.
Obviously. I mean,
that's why they would have doubling women.
Yeah.
That's
no, exactly.
wild.
I'm sure this is one of these. If it really is Bob Miles, and I wish we could check that, really anecdotally with someone who was there.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
But yeah, well, Charlotte
would know.
And she may have been game for a lot of it because she grew up on a farm.
That was a dive.
Flower.
That was a dive from a moving wagon full somersault.
I think when she was hanging out with Jim Morrison, she may have thrown herself out of moving cars occasionally. That she may have jumped out of the Volkswagen bus at Woodstock.
That's the only explanation. That's it. I just want to talk about another part too, which is
sure. Okay.
Well, she comes home from school. She's defeated. She's very upset because she's scared off this student. And Charles says, and then she's like, "Don't worry." And then the kids say "dumb Abel," and she gets really upset that her own children are even calling him "dumb Abel." And then she sort of composes herself. She's like, "Oh, okay, I'll make dinner." And Pa says, "Dinner is already cooked and all ready," and that couldn't be hotter. That's every woman's dream. Are you kidding me? You come home, you've had a really hard day, you've worked all day, now you have to come home and cook for the family. It's the last thing you want to do. And your husband stands there and says, "Don't worry, I got dinner. It's already on the stove."
Wow.
Do you understand? Do you understand? Alison, you get it. Dean, do you understand? That's all any woman needs. That's automatic popcorn right there in the bowl that night. Done.
Even if I come home and Bob says, "I've already called Grubhub," and the table, I'm like, "I've ordered pizza. Sit."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's anything. And that's the thing is 1800s. And that's why Pa, beautiful, shirtless, gorgeous, hot Pa, who says, "Honey, I have dinner already." That is why America swooned. This is why.
Yes, especially because of the time period. Yes, that's it exactly. But I just had to mention that because there is nothing more attractive. There's nothing hotter. There's nothing more supportive than your husband, especially in the 1800s, going, "Don't worry, honey, I got dinner tonight."
Now, remember, she had to quote the Bible to get him to do dishes, though. I love that's one of my favorite scenes of all time. And if you look it up,
no, it's a different episode.
No. But to wipe it, then God will turn Israel, wipe it as a man wipeth a dish. And as she said, men do dishes because it's in the Bible, and it actually is. It was nice because they quoted the number and it's correct.
Well, I have a question. Michael's reference to baseball in the Bible in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
dad joke. Dad joke. Classic dad joke. I do have a question for you, though. Maybe, I don't know if either one of you will know this, because Alison, you were a child, and Dean, you weren't there.
I wasn't there, yeah.
When did the dispute really start, the rift between Michael and Karen happen? Because these scenes are so tender and so lovely. I was just curious, because these scenes between them are so beautiful.
They are. I think, I was going to comment on this, because we obviously are moving through the series, and there is definitely a point where you see the change. This is not. We are still in, it feels like a very collegial.
Yes, and tender.
And I think they are, well, look, even when things were chilly, they were always great together on camera. There were other things that happened, but they were always great together on camera. And this is one of those, really.
Do you
The
think
first year, I love the first season because I would say it's a more innocent time before any of us knew what we gotten ourselves into. The show wasn't like a hit yet. I mean, yeah, the pilot was pre-sold, but we still, the first year we're like, la, 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 great. It's pre-sold for this many episodes. I guess it wouldn't, like, it's just how we didn't believe it'd be 50 years later. We didn't believe it was going to go more than the first year. So we were all just kind of going, tra, la, 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 la. And then around year second or third, we went, oh no, it's a hit. What do we all do now? And I think when realization that the show was popular, the show was going to go on for a very long time, all of a sudden everyone started going, well, now wait a minute here. What am I doing? And I think that's when Karen said, what is happening here? Why?
I love your father thought that this wasn't going to go 6 months.
Yes, he was like, they want to watch this.
Wild.
Well, he who grew up on a farm himself, it was the last thing he wanted to watch.
Right.
He said, no. It was, he said, I left the farm at 15. If I never see another cow again, it'll be too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Said,
From a cow to Liberace.
But
yeah,
I think,
exactly.
But Pamela, I think your observation is really astute. There is a coming change in the way that they interact with each other.
But do you think that when you say like you could obviously see the change, do you think that was storyline? What do you think that the change was?
Well, it shows up in the writing. It shows up. It shows up in the diminishing presence.
That's so sad.
I think by the time we're digressing here, but by the time I came into the series, I think Karen was feeling like she had been relegated to pouring coffee, saying, that's where I think she felt like she had gotten to. And obviously what we're seeing in this school mom episode is anything but that.
Right.
She felt very much, like, I'm going to be the lead. Like, Olivia Walton is, but, and then like when it became clear, it's like, well, hey, Melissa Gilbert, she's Laura Ingalls. And it's like, am I third banana to a 9-year-old? What is happening to me here and as an actress? The thing is, we forget, even if the actor says, and most of it did, this is great. I don't care about any of that show busy stuff. As long as I get paid halfway decent and I'm doing this. But you have managers, you have agents, you have publicists, and they are this Greek chorus. And they will constantly say, you're getting short shrift. Well, this is terrible. And the little girl is the star. And why aren't you the star? And why aren't you? And you're prettier than telling you.
One of the ultimate examples of that was Meredith Baxter Burney and Michael Gross with Family Ties.
Family Ties.
When Michael J. Fox exploded on that show. It was their show in the pilot.
Right.
And
it was always supposed to be their show. Yeah.
It was
and
Michael
children.
J. Fox's show.
They're supposed to be cute little children. It was, and their children. And boom.
Yes.
No, this is why people say don't work with dogs and children, for God's sakes. And that's what happened. Michael J. Fox Fonzied it, became the Michael J. Fox show. And they were just doomed.
Yeah. I think there was considerable, I think there was a lot of upset on that set because of that change that became very clear, like almost instantly where this was going.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's such a disservice to us too to not have her be that fully fleshed out character. He gave her moments. He gave her certain episodes every now and then.
Totally. Well, early, she had the opportunity to establish herself, and good for Karen. That I know because she's written about it, she struggled with this, but she always kept it good on camera.
She kept doing it.
She was incredibly professional about the way she
didn't leave. And she kept playing Caroline, and she was Ma, and she was Caroline Ingalls, and she didn't stop. She might have said, I would rather it was this way, and I want it to be more that way, and I'll try to fight to get her character to do this more than that. by God, she was still there. And so there was that level of commitment. But remember also first year, remember there's the whole thing of, Michael Landon and Ed Friendly when they started the show. And then that all parted ways like third year.
Yikes.
So a lot happened between season 1 and season 3.
Yes.
It really, really did. A lot happened between season 1
And
and
how
season
did that
3.
affect you, Alison? Like even that rift between the Ed Friendly and Michael, like what was the climate on set with the actors? Were you all
We knew
worried?
it was happening. I mean, that's
Yeah.
there's no getting around it. You knew things were going on. And I think it was different for me because I was raised in show business with the showbiz family, and the dad was manager. So I would hear they would talk about it. So my father would go, "Oh, well, that's going to get interesting." So I knew these things were going on.
Yeah.
I was sheltered in some ways as 12, but then completely not sheltered in others because my father totally knew, but would talk about it and go, "Hey, guess what's going on now?" And so I knew, but then I also knew that this was a thing that happened all the time on TV shows. That this was weirdly the price of doing business. This was normal that you got on a series and somebody somewhere was going to be in a fight about something.
Yeah. I think we should take a little break.
Yeah, we're going to take a break.
And let's come back and talk about the themes that are sort of central to this episode that I think are really interesting, that carry through the entire series.
Great. Okay, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents. Explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Throughout the summer, take the Little House 50th Anniversary Tour at Big Sky Movie Ranch. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information. We are so grateful to visitsimivalley.com for their commitment to presenting the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
But it's
And we're back. We're back, everybody.
A beautiful recent time that we love.
The before days. Yes.
The early days. We're
What-
young.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Hi, everyone. We're back. Yes, it's us. We're recapping school. Mom, I want to say that also that there's a scene with Ma and Pa before we start talking about themes. But I just wanted to note there's a scene with Ma and Pa in bed, and the popcorn's out, and he puts the popcorn aside, and he sort of riles her up by saying, well, Miss Olson is going to be the teacher, and he knows he's going to get her to go back because of that. And then he rolls over, he goes to bed, and she's like, do you have any more popcorn? And he hands her the bowl, and this was my one and only thought. You didn't finish the popcorn? Who doesn't finish a bowl of popcorn? I can't be with a bowl of popcorn and not finish the entire bowl. That is some tolerance right there, right? Is it just me? I can't not finish an entire bowl of popcorn.
Yeah. When we go to the movies, the bag of popcorn is
Done.
always empty.
It is
Always
done. Even if you're full, you are eating all of the popcorn.
Yeah, it's true.
All right. Well, that's my
Wait,
unimportant.
wait.
Yes, that's my unimportant.
Oh,
note.
no, there are no unimportant comments, Pam.
Well, we'll see about that.
So,
but anyway,
I think you're leading towards the important themes that are central to this episode, and we've sort of
yes,
you've touched on it right there with that conversation, self-doubt and insecurity with Caroline. That's and there's wonderful humility that comes from that, and it gives opportunity for back and forth of being supportive and loving with each other. But I think, and of course, Caroline is driven to get past her insecurity by Mrs. Olson, who threatens her by saying that
God, she's awful in this episode.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is, and what's so important to note on this, and Alison, you're part of that too. You need that antagonist presence is so important in these situations, and in Catherine and Alison, two wonderful antagonists. Incredible
and this episode is so about bullying, of Mrs. Olson being the adult bullying
I know.
Miss Beadle,
God, when she
bullying
calls him
Caroline.
dumb able to his face,
Yeah.
I couldn't even handle it rewatch. I mean, I've seen this episode obviously many, many times, but rewatching it and remembering just how horrible she was to do that to a child,
A grown
in front
person.
of his face. A grown person.
Yeah.
Which is worse than a kid doing it. Yeah, she's
of
truly
course, because you
awful.
think someone would have learned some discretion and some kindness, and of course Caroline responds wonderfully with compassion and understanding.
Yes.
that which is really boom. That's what the show is about.
That's
and it's
right.
interesting that
Compassion and
Mrs. Olson was going to teach, because later she does teach and tries to teach everyone French.
The French is classic.
Duh.
Yeah, no, we're going to digress on this. Did a wonderful interview with Catherine years ago where she talked about the French and how she knew, as the actress doing this, she knew, I don't speak French. So she leaned into this horrible French that she did. And it was wonderful. Catherine and Karen, but Catherine had such wonderful instincts.
And of course, she spoke more French than that. She lived in France, in Paris, for like
That's
8 months
funny.
on the left bank. Yeah, she was an artist model, because again,
Oh my God!
Sexy
that's not something
Dame.
that she ever. Topsy
Catherine McGregor, hanging out with Parisian artists. So she did live in Paris for a while. So she spoke some French. So she spoke more French than "Avez-vous parapluie bleu?" I mean, she definitely was better at French than that. But she went all the way with the worst.
Oh yeah, it was wonderful. So we're going to a different episode there, but Catherine was a wonderful antagonist.
This is the first time someone besides Miss Beadle teaches, where she could. All the women taught. I am the only woman in the show who never taught. Mary taught before she went blind.
Lucky for everybody.
Probably right. Let me say something too, though. That I think Karen, the Ma character, always, just when I think like, this is so stereotypical, like what a feminine woman is supposed to be, or a submissive woman, then we'll get a kernel of like, oh no, she's got more power than that. But she's, that character is always riding that line of like submissive wife. Or, even like, can't lose my temper. And I'm like, girl, you should lose your temper. Like, she's a horrible woman doing terrible things to you. It's okay. You can lose your temper, right? But that's not demure. That's not feminine. That's not what a submissive wife is supposed to do, or woman. But then we get wins, right? Where she can stand in her power. But it must have been, as an actor, and especially knowing Karen, who's a wildly feminist, outspoken, strong woman, to get this material and make it work for her in a way that doesn't feel self-sacrificing. Am I making myself?
Yeah.
Well, it was a tightrope. She was on this tightrope because on the one, it's 1974. It's the height of like Gloria Steinem feminism.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, oh my God. And she is absolutely part of that movement. And she is a strong woman. And you have the fact that Caroline is a strong woman and did, even in the books and even Laura, stand up to Charles more than maybe an 1870s chick did. But at the same time, it is 1874, and women did not talk back to the men folk or their husbands in the way one would do now. That's not a thing. And Caroline, very much, when you look at the books and history, she often said to Laura, don't do that. We don't do that. With ladies, women do not do that. And Caroline had the thing is, like on the show, a lot of the people of the book say people showed so much emotion on the show. And Charles and Caroline, real life in the books, all the public crying and displays of emotion, like, ooh, no, we should. Don't do that. So she had to walk this tightrope between the real Caroline, who was very strong, but would never show emotion in public and would tell Laura, no, don't act like that. Don't do this. Don't do that. And the fact that Caroline was strong, and she was this person who wanted to have the character more like 1974, and the whole world was exploding with women's rights movement at that moment. So what a mental space to be in. It was like schizophrenia. It was like,
I would think it would be really, and she said, I mean, and again, hats off to her, because it shows what an really incredible actor she is, because she makes it work in a way that as a woman, the second I start feeling as a woman like, oh, this is so submissive, then something happens where it snaps out of that, where you don't feel like you're being downplayed. You know?
I think that Michael wrote her, even going back to something like Harvest of Friends in the very beginning, when she was upset that Charles was plowing on a Sunday, where she expressed herself very strongly in that moment. I think that there were, and thinking in other scenes where Charles was injured with his, bare chest exposed. These are your favorite moments in the series, Pamela.
Not just mine. Millions of fans around the world.
And Karen, and Caroline talks about the fact that, I need to do things here because I'm the one who is able to do things right now. And so I have to for the family. I think that Michael was touching on perhaps some more contemporary values or the value shift in those moments. But see, I think what Karen did so beautifully was that she did, underneath that demure, sweet, but there was such strength always in her, great posture. She was a strong woman, but a woman who was restrained. She was, and I think that's so much of what people saw in her and loved about that portrayal. There's a reason why Karen has been named for years as one of the all-time great mothers in television history. Yeah, and she just radiated it. It was wonderful.
The classroom scene with the bat, cat, dog.
Love that.
I was sobbing like you. I couldn't believe how hard I was crying. It really took me by surprise. I know this episode, and yet that scene comes.
It's the music.
It's also how sweet he is. He's so good in this episode.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's I totally agree with you. No tears came out, but
because you're a man, Butler, a man,
manly man.
I felt that the twinge of the tear ducts moving. Because it was so sweet, and it was
sweet.
Yeah, it was really wonderful. And David Rose, again, always filling those moments with the emotional color that it needs. He takes us right there. He's telling us how we need to be feeling at that moment. And I think that's a beautiful scene. And that the kids, after Caroline has the talk with all the children, telling them we are going to do this together. We're going to help, and then we see
and
this
you can
with
be
the
teachers too. Yes.
Yeah. I thought
and turning around the bullying where they had done that mob think bullying, and now as a group they're helping. And Dirk Blocker has had a fine career.
Tell us.
Yes, he has been in after. I'm looking to see if that episode was it that him. And he was in Poltergeist. It was that literally the first thing he ever did. No, he was in an episode of Marcus Welby, MD, before he was 17. It was like 5 minutes before 2, and then boom, Little House on the Prairie. And after that, his IMDb just explodes, and he's on Lucas Tanner and Phyllis and Absolute and Baba Black Sheep and Chips. He's on everything. He's on everything.
My wife Catherine did Black Sheep Squadron and remembers Dirk Blocker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, funny.
You name it, he's in it. And in the current recent world, of course, he's Mr. Hitchcock on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he's Doogie Kamaloha, MD, and he's in everything. This man works like a fiend and is absolutely brilliant. And it was all there in literally his second time on TV on Little House.
No, it was all there. He's so good in this.
No,
and other themes that we want to quickly talk before we have to wrap things up.
The value of education.
Right.
I love the scene where Caroline goes to see him, and his father says he has savvy.
He's a brick maker. Why would he need that other education? They have an industry. Yeah.
That his son has savvy, and and Caroline adds so nicely, it's, wouldn't think how much better he'd be adding savvy to reading, writing, and figuring, or being able to add those three things to all of his savvy. And I think it's such a great idea. And then, of course, Caroline convinces him to come back. I guess that's a later scene where she quit, he quits, you can't quit, you're a great teacher, you're a smart student. They do that. Michael does that a lot, that kind of construction in a scene where they convince each other.
Oh, and the connection the two of them had too was
very
so
sweet.
sincere and
he's
lovely.
He's able as an artist. He also, when he's not making bricks, he's using clay. He's making things out of clay.
The carving and the bird, the clay bird. Yeah, lovely.
The big tough man is making the little tiny, delicate, beautiful things out of clay, this gentle soul. And she sees that and is like, wait, he's a genius. He's making this. Oh my God, you're not dumb. The guy's an artist. He's freaking genius. If he can read, he could run the whole brick company. What is happening?
Right.
Because he's a bird. Yeah. And so the whole gentle giant thing is really brilliant, actually.
Compassion and patience. Caroline gently convincing him that he can do this, and his, for that young man at 17, 19, 27, whatever age he was, but to play that
44 years old.
What's wonderful for everybody to see is he was able to put aside his pride, the fear of being embarrassed.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to be in that class either.
And allow himself to try.
Yeah.
And that's such an important thing for people to see, is that it's okay to surrender to something and put your best self forward into it, to give it and everyone was there for him. We wish it could be that way always.
Yeah.
And we saw the episode allowed us to see both sides of that. We saw the derision and we see the support. And so everybody, as Pamela, as you pointed out, these horrible children, they come around.
I want to say it's Denmark. I could be wrong about this, but it is a part of their curriculum in their schools from kindergarten through high school that they learn about empathy. It's part of what they learn in school. And I just wish that we had some kind of semblance of that, because, we just had this talk last night with my 6-year-old daughter, who also watched this episode and loved it. But we were talking to her about empathy because we were worried that she was going to talk about her birthday in class and that other kids might feel upset if they weren't invited to, got to ice cream with us or whatever. And she kind of didn't. And we had to really explain what empathy actually meant and put yourself in someone else's shoes and think about how another person might feel and yada, yada. And think how wonderful that would be if we were all sort of taught that starting from a young age. It's important. It's not necessarily automatically learned. It's something you have to teach.
It is taught. It is taught.
I think
that's very parental.
I have a cuckoo, just found out true fact about the brilliant, beautiful Dirk Blocker. An article published by NBC, unknown date. Blocker, I'm going to start crying reading. I'm going to start crying reading this. Blocker went back to school as an adult to earn his bachelor's of arts degree so he could teach grades K through 12. And in 2017, he published a book he'd written called Master and the Little Monk, about a lonely young boy who's befriended by a unique ally and master.
Oh.
Nice.
Oh, Abel.
I think this episode influenced him maybe just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
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 As we're racing for the exit, there's a little summary of this episode. So overall, School Mom is a thoughtful episode that delves into the complexities of self-worth, the transformative power of education, and the profound impact of empathy, which you're talking about right now. It remains a standout example of Little House on the Prairie's ability to address real-world issues in its historical setting. It's a very touching, wonderful episode, and kudos to all involved. Karen's wonderful performance, Dirk Blocker's wonderful performance, a wonderful script by Ward Hawkins, and Bill Claxton directing
Always
in his very sort of, at a distance. I mean, Bill, you never saw this, Pamela, but Alison, and I just remember Bill standing, he sort of had this sort of aw shucks quality about him, and his hands were in his pockets, and he's sort of looking down at the ground, sort of shuffling his feet as he's explaining what he wants to do. But there was just such an innate sweetness about this man, and such a capable, wonderful director, and it shows in this episode, School Mom.
Well, we'll be comparing this one and Blanche next, for the love of Blanche. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that. How did it go from here to there? Oh, season 1. It just keeps getting better and better. I love it. No, this is truly, I was so happy we chose this episode because it was so lovely revisiting it. It truly was. And it just is. This is a test. Also, the simplicity of it, right? Like, this is not complicated.
No,
the simplicity of it, but it just still endures. It's still current.
The simplicity of so many Little House stories is why they continue to survive. There's an honesty about them, and it's a reflection on. We are able to reflect on ourselves watching these episodes, and this is one of those that does that really well. Take us to the exit.
Here we go, everybody. Thank you for being with us here today. We'll see you next time. Please join us on Little House 50 Podcast or littlehouse50podcast.com if you want to know what's going on. You guys will be putting up events soon, I suppose. Is there a Facebook page for the new stuff? I think there is.
There is, and there's an Instagram page, and there will be details about things popping onto that.
Great. And I'll make sure I include those in the show notes.
Please do.
And we'll see you next time. Bob, go get the wig. Wait, wow. I have to do that again. That was a bad one. Bob, go get the wig. The wig. Not the whim, not the wig.
Isn't it just Bob, get the wig?
Bob, get the wig for God's sake. Let's fly already. How do I mess up the tagline? Dear Lord.